Do men actually need respect more than love? Or is that just how society has conditioned us? Quill, we're gonna let you go first on this one.
Uh, I think it's necessary. Um, I think that within itself, like I think if when women respect the men that they're with, I think it inevitably comes with love. If they're not with somebody that they respect, then I don't think that the women can express the love that they have for their men.
You don't think a woman can love a man that she doesn't respect?
Nope.
Angie,
To
I
put it
see your
out
head.
there,
I see your head, Bobby. Angie,
I'm,
like,
I'm gonna throw it out there that I don't agree. I'm gonna throw that out there.
okay. So I want to let Angie jump in, and then we'll come to you, real dope.
I will say when it comes to whether men need respect more than women, I do think that's a socialization thing. I think that we both need both. Obviously, I come from the world of therapy, so I think about it from the psychological standpoint. So when we think about like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right, one of those areas that is really pertinent, to our overall development is that psychological component of love and respect, and both men and women need that. Now, in how they need it and how it's expressed is what I think the real question is, because even as a woman, I want to feel respected as a woman. I want to feel loved as a woman. And so, and also for men as well, again, I work with a lot of people in that space where they're sharing their innermost thoughts. And it's not that men are feeling like, if I'm void of love, I'm good as long as I'm respected. They want both, but like I said, again, how it's communicated and how it's expressed to them, I think is the bigger issue.
Okay. Real dope. Did you want to respond to Quill? I know you said you disagree. And Angie, I got a question for you on that too.
Yeah, I disagree, but I think it's based on what I think love is, and maybe we can define love and respect. But based on what I think love is, I think a woman can absolutely not respect the man that she loves. The same way that a woman cannot respect herself, and she might love herself, or she might love her dad, I think you can love your kids, and you can still not make the best decisions for your kids, and you can, so I think that love and respect, I don't think that they're necessarily, they have to be together. I don't think they need to be together to be there. So I feel like I've seen women love men and not respect them at the same time. You can love a man who's cheated on you, but since he's cheated on you a few times, you don't necessarily respect him, and it ultimately might be the um the
But
end of your relationship.
but real dope. I think you're talking in moments though. What I'm describing is somebody who they absolutely have no respect for whatsoever. Like they don't
No,
have like the. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, but I think Real Dope is right on this. And I'm just thinking about my own personal experience, right? There's someone that even to this day that I love, like by my definition of love, I choose not to be with him because I don't respect him. And I don't believe that he in turn could respect me in the way that I would need him to for us to have a long lasting relationship. But if I were to say that I don't love him, and I'm not just talking about, oh, that's my brother, right? Like I love this man, but I had to make a choice that I don't respect you. I don't like how you move. I don't like the decisions that you make. I don't like how you respond to certain things. Like I'm not going to put myself in a relationship with you and then worry about my emotional safety because I just do not respect how you move in life. But I love him. And so I do think that it's possible to love someone and not have
So,
respect for them.
but by the question though, in mass, what I'm talking about is in mass. I'm not talking about outliers. I'm saying in mass, what I've seen with women that if they don't have respect, a certain respect for a man, then they don't really express love towards them. You get what I'm saying? Like
No, I agree
you.
with you on that one.
Mhm,
Am I expressing love
mhm,
towards him? Actively, no. Right? But if I'm honest with myself about how I feel about him, yes, I love him. Am I still doing things for
mhm,
him? No. Right? Am I calling and checking on him? No. Right? Am I rushing to his side when he's sick? No. Right? So I'm not expressing my love towards him. So I
mhm.
agree with you in that regard. right? But in terms of just a do I love him or not? Can I
Hmm.
love him and not respect him? I think the answer is yes.
Yeah,
Well,
I
cool. Let
got
me
you.
ask you this question. Let me ask you this question.
Hmm.
Can somebody who has never been taught respect or what respect is love something?
Yeah,
Okay. So you can
yeah.
you can have something that you love and you may not know how to respect it or whatever. Then do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I think that's possible, but I also think that too, that I think a lot of times what happens too, I think we can also, if somebody if they truly respect me, if they truly love me and care about me, then we can come to some type of compromise about it if we're in relationship with one another. Like we can also change some of those things. I think that's what I look at in respect. If I respect you, I'm willing to hear you out. I'm willing to listen to you. I'm willing to work through some of these things with you. But it when it comes down to me, like, and I have no type of respect. To me personally, I just
Mhm.
don't think you respect that person if you can't at least be willing to make some type of compromise for them.
Well, I think that's because you know what respect is and you know how you want to be
Mm,
respected and you know. But there are a lot of women who don't know what respect because we get these things from our upbringing. It's a lot of women who you might be with, and you're like, yo, I gotta teach you some things because you were never taught these things, and this is how I need to be loved. This is how I need to be respected. You know, you might come from different cultures. Respect is different in different cultures. I might go to a culture where if I say no to food that you offer me, it's disrespectful. But in my culture, I don't have to eat food that you offer me. So I just think it's I think those are separate.
yeah, but the willingness has to be there too, though. Like I think that's what I'm getting at when you're talking about teaching comes with the student has to be willing. So whoever is receiving that has to be willing to do those things too. So I think that's what I'm harping on is like I don't really I'll say personally, I don't really care about it if you're not willing, if you're not willing. Like I just don't care about it at that point because it's just like what are we doing if there's no willingness and um there's no willingness to actually make that happen.
I agree. And another thing is some people can be sick, or at least when I say sick, right? I mean that there can be certain things inside people that
Hmm.
they're not aware of that they're spewing out, right? And when you get with a certain type of person, I know at least what I consider to be a good man, a good masculine man. When you get with that type of man, it's going to be a mirror for you, and everything that you
Hmm.
all of the negative things and the toxic traits that you have, you're going to start to see those things when you're being with him, and vice versa. A good woman, same thing. You're going to start to see these things, and yeah, those things will come out. And I just think some people they're sick. Like some people are narcissistic. Of course, I'm not going to diagnose somebody, but there are certain things that people have that have them push people that they love away, or you know, um, I think when you have these things in you and these upbringings, you I don't I'm getting losing my train of thought, but I think certain people can have things inside of them that they can't see that can be fixed, that they can work on. I think people call it healing and stuff like that. But this can cause you to push people that you love away and you won't even know that you're the reason, if that makes
You talk
sense.
about self-sabotage.
You can self-sabotage,
Hmm.
um or you can just like you can be self-absorbed and not know it
Hmm.
until somebody's like, yo, you don't consider me, right? And eventually
Hmm.
maybe you'll be able to get through to them, but that person can love you, but
No,
they have no idea that they're not considering you or they're not doing right by you and things like that.
and I agree with that, but I think too, though, I think I'm also looking at people's loose definition of love too. Like I think is used is thrown around like a frisbee too, like where we start to combine too many ways of loving people or our view of love. And I think it, it goes to I think Angie was saying this too about us defining, and I think it is defined It has to be defined based off of whatever relationship you're in with that person.
Right.
And uh,
I pulled up the definition because my brain, I need to understand what we're talking about.
mhm,
And um, other than having an intense feeling of affection for someone, love is also an action.
mhm,
And that's where I understand that if I don't respect you, I know I don't love you, because to me they run synonymously. In order for me to show you the action of love, there has to be a level of respect that I have for you, because the only way I know how to love other than the feeling is by showing you, by caring for you, by committing to you, by being there when you're in need. And the last couple years of my life, I have learned that I can not agree with someone, but I still love that person because I'm still willing to take that action. Once I realize that I'm not willing to take the action, I know I don't love that person. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So to
Would
me,
you?
those two align. Like, yes, I have to respect you, because in order for me to love you, I have to act on it.
Well, can I ask you a question? Do you think that loving someone, right, and acting on loving someone are two different things? Like, I can love you, like I love. For example, when did your first boyfriend or second boyfriend, whoever, one of your boyfriends, when did you know that you loved them, or when did you feel like you loved them?
Um, Probably a few years into the relationship.
And it'll be like a feeling that you're like, oh, I love you, and then you're like, yo, I want to say it, or you do say it, but it's a feeling that come across you, and then you're like, oh, let me verbalize this, or
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
okay, because I think love is more of a feeling, and then from that feeling, the feeling is first, and then we start to do things so that we can show people that we love them, so that they know that we love them and we want to do things for them. But I think it's a feeling. So, for example, my fiance can cheat on me today, right? And I can end our relationship tomorrow, and I can't. If I told myself and everybody else that I didn't love her anymore, I would be lying, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I can end the relationship with you, and I can, cut off access to me. However, it's going to take some time for me to no longer love you,
Right.
if that makes sense.
That's where I go somewhere else with that, because I've learned this, when you really love someone, like real love, they're going to hurt you, right? It comes with the pain of learning who you can be by forgiving that person, and still pushing through that and saying, you know what, you are your own self, you are imperfect just like me, you did this for whatever reason, you made your choices, but I'm still going to choose to love you. I may not have give you access to me on a regular basis, but if you don't have anybody else to call, you can call. You'll know that I'm still going to be there for you. That's the action piece that I don't think will ever I'll be able ever to turn that off. And that's how I know that the people that I love are few and far between. I don't just throw that word around because I feel something for someone right now, right? For me, until the death. That's just how deep it is for me.
But Julie, is that what you just shared based on your response to Real Dope different from what you said? Because I think I heard you say, and correct me if I'm wrong, that if you don't respect someone, you don't love them. If there is infidelity, is the respect still there?
To some degree, I still respect you, because the infidelity does not define who you are completely. Does that make sense? And that's why I was saying,
Yeah.
like, after you've gone through whatever you've gone through with someone, and I'm only speaking this from my experience, you realize, like, you have to allow people to be who they are. And if you can still love them through that, that's love. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I do believe that when you prioritize the respect piece as opposed to, and I don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that love isn't important, but when the respect is prioritized, that creates room for that love to grow and to a true love to grow and to be strong. Because like Real Dope said, I do believe that when there is infidelity, I don't doubt that in those situations that the person doesn't love the spouse or the other one. I think that there's a lack of respect there. So,
And I guess the thing that we have to look at, losing respect for someone doesn't mean that the person still doesn't respect them. The
okay,
amount of
that is
respect
true.
that they have for that person was
That is true.
injured. The amount of trust that they had was injured, but that doesn't mean they don't have respect. See, I think the thing is that the reason why I'm emphasizing this is because when we get caught up in the feelings of this and the affection and the emotion of it, emotions change.
Yeah.
Emotions can be tricky. And if we get so caught up in that, we lose the thing that keeps us together.
Mhm.
Because it's sometimes it's sometimes that I don't respect my wife and my wife may not respect me. But that doesn't mean that and or or she doesn't like me or the feelings
I was gonna
there
say
aren't the
not
same.
maybe not respect, maybe that you
Respect,
guys
but the
have a
feelings, yeah, the
disagreement
feelings,
and you aren't
right.
respectful in your words and your
And,
actions towards
in at moments. But the thing that I'm getting at is like if what I've learned in my past is that being so caught up in the emotions of it can blind you to where you don't see where you're actually lacking at.
and that's why I say, this love thing is dangerous. It can be tricky because you can love someone so much that you allow yourself to be disrespected and hurt.
Mm-hmm. And
So
then the question comes, how much do you love yourself?
mhm.
Right. And when Real Dope made a comment earlier and he said that, some women don't like, some women will love a man, and correct me if I'm saying this wrong. Some women will love a man that disrespects them. In my opinion, when we go through that, it's because we're lacking love for ourselves.
Mhm.
Because once we realize that and we start to work on ourselves and show ourselves love, those standards starts to shift. And then you're like, wait a second, like I can allow you to disrespect me like this, right? And you start seeing people for who they really are, but it's because you are taking, that work and doing it on yourself and loving yourself more.
I think what I said was I think women can love them. Everybody, people can love themselves and still disrespect themselves. That makes sense. Like we can, you're not supposed to eat certain foods. Certain foods are poison, but you'll still eat it. You know, you don't necessarily always treat your body the right way. You don't necessarily always do things that will be optimal for your growth. Or some people might be promiscuous and they know that they shouldn't do it, or they may not use a condom and they know that they should use a condom. I think that's kind of like disrespecting yourself.
So I agree with that, Real Dope, but it kind of reminds me of how, like, let's say me and you are brothers, right? And I might call you a bad name and we might fight amongst each other. So we can disrespect one another, but can nobody externally disrespect you or me in each other's presence, right? So the metaphor that you're using, I understand what you're saying, but what a conversation is based on allowing someone else to disrespect and violate you. So it's like me saying, yeah, I eat fast food, right? Or I may not work out, but that's a choice that I'm making for me. When you don't show up in my life in a way that's advantageous for my life, and I continue to let you do that, that still shows like a lack of self-love on another level, because I'm letting something external dictate, right, my ability to love myself. We all sinners, everybody makes mistakes, everybody falls short. But the idea that because I fall short of my own consistency, and then turn around, I'm gonna let you disrespect me also. That's, to me, that's like another level.
Mhm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do think that they can go hand in hand, though. I do think that somebody who doesn't respect themselves is more prone to allowing someone else to disrespect them. That makes sense.
I don't know. I never thought of it that way. I'm not sure. I don't know. I wouldn't die on that hill. I don't know about that one. I'm gonna have to marinate on that one. But Dr. Hawk,
So,
I got a question. Hold on real quick. Dr. Hawk, I know because Julie kind of transitioned us into the self-love thing. And we've had plenty of conversations about respect and in relationships, you and I. So your question is, when a woman feels unloved, can she still feel respected?
Yes.
Enlighten me.
So, um, when I say that because when we talk about respect, we talk about actions, right? And then demonstrating respect is different from the demonstration of love. So let's say there is a loveless relationship or a loveless marriage, but the husband is coming home still every day, paying the bills every day. So they can be respected in that sense. And I'm going to say this, when you look at kind of arranged marriages, so to say, I don't think love is there yet, but the respect is there because it may not fully be just the respect for the person. It may be respect for the sanctity of the marriage. So I'm respecting this marriage. And, from my background, I've experienced, this is my intended. I just met them 2 weeks ago, or my dad is giving, my daughter to be a wife, and the love isn't really there, but the respect is there. So yes, I do believe it can happen.
Okay. Angie, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, so I was thinking about that because I'm thinking, if a couple is together and, let's say the husband or boyfriend, that their household is safe, and he's making sure that he's not harming her or the children. In his mind, he may equate that to love. He may say, I do love you because I don't do this for anyone else. Like I bring my money home to you. I'm not harming you. Yeah, we may not have date nights and I may not be rubbing your feet and your back and telling you all the sweet nothings. But at the same time, I am showing up very consistently. And in his mind, he may equate that to love. And so I think sometimes too is looking at it from that perspective. That's something that I hear a lot, like in sessions where, women are saying, I don't feel loved anymore. I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel seen in this way. And then maybe ultimately they might say, I don't feel respected. But for him, he might be really confused because in his mind, he's like, this is how I show love. Like I am giving you the best parts of me, which is me getting up consistently and making sure that you're taken care of and that you're provided. Again, this is not me, being on his side. I'm just saying what I see a lot, when people are talking about these things, it's like a confusion around like, how is this not showing you love? How am I showing you that you're not loved? Because in his mind, he may be thinking like, again, I'm not stepping out on you. I'm not coming here and just, throwing jabs or, calling you out of your name. I mean, granted, we may not be as close, physically or emotionally, but I am taking care of your basic needs. Some women may feel that that's not love.
But I to go off of what you're saying though, it's like we're missing one another. Like
Mhm.
we're we're expressing it, but it's like because I'm so attached to what I think
Right.
and how I feel about it that I
Yeah.
can't see it from your vantage point.
Right.
And I'm only speaking that because it's happened in my
Mhm.
relationship where I'm seeing it like nah da, 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 and I'm so adamant about it. And then when I calmed down and actually stepped away from it, well, I could be a little bit more accommodating about
Mhm.
that because, you know, even though it's not happening exactly the way I wanted, it doesn't mean that I'm not receiving receiving anything from it. You know, I think
Right.
that's where the disconnect is just the vantage points in which we look.
And I think where
Mhm.
respect comes in is when you value how your partner is seeing things at that moment and you're willing to have conversations about it. So if I don't respect you or your thoughts or your views, I'm going to probably dismiss it. I'm going to say, you know what, I am showing you love. What are you talking about? But if I respect you, then I might say, you know what, this is how I see it. This is what I was used to or what I'm accustomed to. These are my experiences. But tell me a little bit more about how you feel. Why does this matter to you so much? I want to know more about that. Because if I don't respect you, I'm not going to ask you those questions. I'm just
Mhm.
like, I want to know. So I think that's where it can both start to tie in, that love and respect start to come in for both people, not just for a man to feel respected, but for a woman to feel like, oh, I'm heard in this situation. I'm seen. Even if he's not quite agreeing with what I'm saying, he's saying like, okay, I'm willing to hear you out. Give me a little bit more insight as to how you feel about this or why this makes you feel loved, as opposed to me just, writing you off.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
I
I
think
think
that.
like even with no, go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think just hearing you talk about that is also the idea of, have we defined within our relationship, right, what love and respect look like? And so I know folks have these conversations around the love languages. I'm like, hit or miss with it, because I feel like as you grow, those things change, right? So it's like if you're not actively taking that quiz on a regular basis, you're going to have some disconnect because you are a different person. And so with that is, if I'm giving you everything that I have, I mean, to your point, and that's not how I receive love, I can emphatically say you don't love me, because I cannot receive it, because you did not take the time to understand that while you like acts of service, I like words of affirmation. And you never speak into
Mhm.
me. You never congratulate me. You never pour into me with your words. And those are the things that feed me. But because you don't need it, it doesn't become a priority for you. And so while you may be 100% sure that you love me, I, on the other hand, may doubt that because you're not showing love in action in a way that makes it easier for me to receive. But I think also with that, we have to be very careful, because when folks ask me, well, what's your love language? All of them, because it just depends on the day, the year,
Mhm.
the month, what else is happening in my life. And so some of these days I'm gonna need all five today, right? Whereas tomorrow I may just need one. And so I think we just have to also have that line of communication open to understand that what you're giving is being received. And then we can't get mad when
Mhm.
we're yelling at people saying, but I love you. What else you want me to do? Stop long enough to hear that what I'm asking you may be a lot more simple than what it is that you're actually doing,
Yeah.
right?
And
Like,
to go off what you were saying though, Casey, I had a situation that happened earlier on with my wife where um I was a little bit more romantic in the beginning of our relationship, but I changed as a person where it was like because I needed that affection. Like I needed the affection, so I expressed it a lot more. But the older I got and different things that my views changed. So I changed as a person, but I also told my wife, like, you have to give me grace on some of this. I can accommodate that, but give me grace on this because I'm not that person anymore. That's not who I am now. And so just give me a little grace on this, and I can, if you ask me to accommodate that. And I think people feel like, um, I quote Jordan Peterson a lot, but he was like, he was talking to another psychologist, and he asked him, why do people feel like they shouldn't have to ask somebody for something? And he says because he said because I think the one statement he said was like, well, if you love me, you would know how to love me. You should just be able to read my mind. And he said that's a perfect type of love that we can't even do for ourselves. We don't even know how to do that for ourselves personally. So I think we have to be careful with a lot of that because it's just like we spend so much time trying to get Because one, I don't think people know how to express it and how to tell people because they don't want to be rejected. I know for me personally, I didn't like rejection at a certain point, but rejection is inevitable when it comes to humans. We have the right to say no to things. And I don't think that people like the word no. They don't like for somebody to tell them no.
I think that respect is very foundational because love is very fickle, right? And I'm not talking, I know Julie was kind of hitting on a deeper love, meaning because what you said, Julie, is anyone that you love is going to end up hurting you. So you're talking about enduring love. But a lot of us look at love as a kind of fickle thing, and it's because it's attached to our emotions, right? It's really I like you. I like you a lot. I admire you, right? It's not really a deep love. I love you past your faults. I love you past your mistakes. The question I wanted to ask y'all though is because a lot of relationships fail, right? We all know the statistics. We've all heard it. How much of a role does a lack of communication or miscommunication cause the end of relationships and an inability to express how I want to be loved and how I want to be respected and vice versa? Anybody on the panel can go.
A big old chunk of
I cut you a big piece of cake. This yours, right? Here you go.
a big. And no, you know, I just find that when people start to learn effective tools, you know, when it comes to communication, that's when like the heavens open up. It's like, wow, I didn't even realize that's how you felt about something. I didn't realize that's how you process something. I didn't even realize that you're still holding on to something that happened well before I was in the picture. But because we lacked a certain type of effective communication, I couldn't even get to that point yet because I didn't even know how to hear you. I didn't even know which questions to ask. That's another thing too. It's like sometimes we don't even know how to approach our partners from a space of curiosity as opposed to like a deficit. Because a lot of times we're approaching things like, you're not enough. You didn't do this for me. I don't like this. As opposed to, you know, I've noticed something when we're communicating, or I've noticed something when we're interacting and we're not really hitting the mark. You know, what's your thoughts about that? How do you feel about that? What's coming up for you? That's curiosity as opposed to you're not enough for me. And so a lot of times it's reframing, you know, a lot of our interactions and our conversations.
So, Andy, I would just want to ask you this. Do you think that some people are, is a bit manipulative, like in what people are trying to do? Like they're trying to force what they want, force someone to give them what they want. Does
When
that
they
make
ask
sense?
questions, you talk about when they
Hmm?
ask, you talk about like if someone is asking questions, do you feel that that's manipulative? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I guess you were just saying like when in the communication, like in communication, I think sometimes what I found is that when it comes down to people asking things from people,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like if I want you to do this or I need you to do this, and I just think sometimes people communicate in a way, whether it's knowingly or unknowingly, to get exactly what they want and not to hear someone out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, and that again is coming from a place of like a deficit. You're not doing this, so this is what I'm going to say or ask of you, so I can get a need met. As opposed to when I approach it from curiosity, I'm actually trying to learn you. Like I want to know more about you because I know myself. Like I'm comfortable in my skin. I'm comfortable in my walk and what's going on in my life. But I want to know about like for you because obviously you're not processing it the same way that I am. Because if you were, or if we were complimenting each other in that way, we wouldn't be having this, you know, discrepancy. This conversation wouldn't come up. So because it's coming up, that means clearly we're not on the same page. So I know what page I'm on, but I want to kind of know a little bit more about the page that you're on and how did you get on that page? Like, because I could be on chapter 5 and you might be on chapter 2. And there's a reason for that, you know, but I don't want to come at you from the standpoint of why are you all the way on 2 and I'm all the way on 5? You know what I mean? Like I want to just know how did you land on 2? Because maybe I can learn something from your experience, not just from my vantage point. And so that's why I say I think approaching it with curiosity is a little different than a deficit.
And I want to say I know communication or inadequate communication, lack of communication, improper communication, those can be that can be the cause of, you know, a relationship going awry. But I think that even when communication is off, the bigger problem is the willingness for the person to do the work. Because in order to fix the communication, because there may have been a time, like in my relationship, where I was like, dang, I didn't even know that I needed that type of communication. Or it's a thing where, well, I want to communicate this way, but he's not comfortable communicating that way. So it's like, how do we work together to meet in a place where I'm not saying, oh, we need to talk about this right now, but his way is I need to walk away and sleep on it. Like, how do we work together for us to fix that? Communication is important, but is it adequate? Is it for us, which may look different for every couple, and even may look different for the two people within a relationship? So it's that willingness to accept that we don't communicate the same way, and that willingness to be able to say, I want to work on this so that we can communicate so that it's productive for us both.
But wouldn't that
So
be oh, wouldn't that be situational though, based off of whatever situation? Because I think sometimes certain situations require certain things, and sometimes they don't. So I think it takes. Wouldn't you say that it takes a level of discernment to know when to do that and when not to?
If you know your partner, yeah. I mean, if you
Hmm.
know, let me not say, well, if you know the person you're in a relationship with,
Hmm.
and you understand their way of communicating. Because remember, when it comes to communication, the communication is not really for you, the one that's delivering it. It's the person that's receiving it. Am I communicating in the way that they're receiving and understanding what I'm saying?
so
If I
Dr. Hawk,
want the words that I say to mean something.
so Dr. Hawk, what I was gonna say is I think what you're hitting on is respect and trust, right? Because everybody has blind spots, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to respect and trust my wife. I have to trust my wife to be my accountability partner so that she can come to me and communicate to me the blind spots that she sees that I have. And because I have a certain level of respect for her, and this also ties into what Julie was saying, we've been through the mud together for 20 years, right? I trust that she's coming to me with this, not just for her own benefit or to manipulate me or try to emasculate me, but to simply be the mirror that she's actually supposed to be as my wife. And so to tie that into what Miss Angie was saying, it's really about I can't expect my wife to communicate perfectly, right? I have to be able to discern what it is that she's conveying to me and not become defensive. Because if she comes with imperfect communication, if she says, well, my wife calls me Booger. If she says, Booger, why aren't you on chapter 5? Naturally, I could get defensive because even in her tone, I could be thinking, why is it a problem that I'm on chapter 2? Right? But I can also diffuse that and simply answer the question. And that's not to not hold her accountable, but that's simply to progress the relationship. And then once we work through why I'm on chapter 2 and she's on chapter 5, I could be like, oh, by the way, I didn't really like how you asked me why I'm not on chapter 5. I like it if you just ask me in a curiosity type of way. Hey, so what's going on in chapter 2? And, tell me what's happening. But so there has to be that respect there for the relationship in general and the trust that this person wants what's best for you, even if it comes off the wrong way.
And Chells, I would say too, to kind of go back on what we was talking about, that would, I think respect keeps you from hitting so below the belt that it damages the relationship
Mm-hmm.
beyond repair. Because that's why I was saying like respect is important, because somebody you don't respect, you willing to throw slugs at them. Like you willing to go for the juggler and and you know what I'm saying? You willing to do I'm telling I've seen it happen where people be in like heated arguments, and it's like they say the worst thing possible, and you could tell they meant everything they said. Even and after that, it's no. Even if they didn't mean it, at that point, there's no the point of no return at that point because you said it. You said it. You let it come out of your mouth, and you said it with vitriol. With
But I think that's where the respect comes in at, right? Like I I can remember vividly me having a very heated discussion with my partner at the time. And I remember saying in my head, Kacey, do not say these words. Because if you say these words, you are never in your life going to be able to take them back. So
Hold on,
even
Kacey.
though
Kacey, I got a question for you right quick on that.
uh-huh.
Okay. How did you develop the ability to be non-reactive in a moment when your nervous system and your emotions were saying, hit him with the Gensu blade?
Right. I think it goes back to the love and respect, right? So it was the idea that even if this relationship is not going to work, and I saw the writing on the wall because like these arguments were becoming more frequent, they were getting hotter and deeper and heavier and louder. And so I'm like, we're at the point where if we don't figure out how to communicate differently, we just can't communicate at all. But even in that, I did not want to hurt him, right, with my words. I didn't want to damage him with my words and then say out of my mouth, I love you and I respect you at the same time. So even though I knew this relationship is not going to work, let me get out of here. Like, I'm not going to spend another moment being in any type of commitment with you. I still did not want to leave it in a way where he walked away trying to figure out who was this woman that I've been with all this time, right? And so also I know how words have affected me, right? I knew how things that he would say to me and other people, be it family, friends, other relationships, and how no matter the level of sincere apology they gave or remorse they had, I never got those words out of my head. I forgave you, right? Like we can still go out, right? We can still kick in. But in the back of my mind, I've never forgotten what you said to me. And I
So
never wanted to be that person to do that to somebody else. And so even in that moment where everything I said, everything that was in my head was absolutely true. Like, it wasn't true, but I knew it would damage him. And so I'm like, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not. And even when he would no say it, I was like, I'm not. I'm choosing in this moment to have some integrity because I know once I say it, I can never take it back. So there's nothing that you can say to me that's gonna get me to say what is in my head. But no matter if it's true or not, I knew that once it came out, it was going to damage him in the moment. If it was a different situation, right, and we weren't arguing, I may have been able to tell him those things about himself and he receive it differently. In that moment, it would have been, I don't respect him. I don't love him. I'm just saying things to be hurtful and harmful. And that's just not who I want to be. And so part of that did develop because I know how hurt I was when people did not take a moment, right, to consider how far they wanted to go with their words. Mm-hmm. And even if I'm still in some type of relationship with you, I still have never forgotten what it is that you said to me and how it made me feel.
So it sounds like with the communication piece, we need to, it's not only willingness to work with the person, but I think first it sounds like our willingness to do some self-reflection and self-work on us. So my retort is not going to be the one because it's more so you got to do some self-talk first.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I definitely was talking to myself while he's looking at me. I'm having a whole internal conversation with myself, right? And again, this comes with maturity, right? Like now, if I was 25, I could have said some shit and we would have gone about our business and I could have cared less. But at 44, right, that's just not the kind of person I want to be. And so, I mean, it was a lot of discipline and it really took, you know what, let us just not be in the same space for a moment. And at that point, we were living together and I left and got a hotel room for 3 nights because I didn't even want to tempted in that moment because I knew this is over, but I still want to have some influence on how it ends. And I did not want the last things to be or things that would be harmful to each other.
Yeah,
And
I
I
have.
think, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it comes with maturity,
Yeah.
because the way I have to practice what I'm gonna say, I have example A, B, C, D, E. I got Chells. I got Dr. Hawk. I'd be like, hey, Denise, hear me out. Let's role play before I have the conversation. And now I understand that, because when you love and respect someone, how you're going to communicate to them, the words that you're going to use, especially with a man. Like, we are not physically powerful, but
Yeah, I'm not
baby,
gonna fight you.
our mouth will destroy you. Okay, our tongue will really
Yeah.
do some real damage. And I think if women took the time to have that like that sounding board in their circle, people who got sense in their circle, and say, all right, let me role play, let me play this in my head and see how one is going to be received. I also have to plan when. Let me make sure he's fed, he already ate. Like,
Pig.
It's
all
a
of that
strategy.
matters.
It's a strategy.
All of that matters when you're communicating. And I didn't realize that until recently. Like, if
But that's the
someone's,
power of the feminine, though.
huh?
That's the power that a lot of women don't realize that they have. A lot of women that have issues in their relationships, and I'm not somebody who blames it all on women, but women, because we live in a physical world, we tend to look at men and say men are stronger. Yeah, because we're physically stronger, right? But women are very powerful on an energetic, intuitive level. On the negative side of that, women can be manipulative, right? That's the same like energy, right?
Mhm.
What Julie's hitting on is the ability to, for lack of a better term, conquer the physically stronger creature with her feminine essence. I need to have a conversation. I need to have a difficult conversation with him. I know this man been at work all day, right? These kids running around the house getting on his nerves, and his football team lost on Sunday. So before I come to him with this issue, yo, you hungry? You want something to eat? Let's sit down and eat together. This is what I was thinking, and I'm just giving you the game from a guy's perspective. Like, it's a lot easier to have that question. I mean, to have that conversation. And then if I know if I'm gonna get some action that night, that's even better. Oh, what you want to talk about? We can talk about anything you want. That's
And
how you do
Chells
it. But if you just come to me and you like, hey, look, dog, I'm tired. I'm about to go to sleep. Go ahead,
I
Quinn.
think too. I think the thing that we got to stop doing is we're treating relationships like a rivalry, man. Like we're like we're in competition with one another. Like,
Mhm.
most people don't act like partners. They act like they enemies, man. Like, they don't even act like this is somebody they're affectionately involved with. They act like this is like we are at war, or you're the opposing team that I got to score on. And it's like we collecting points. We collecting points like as if this is not a person that I care about, that I've been through hardships with. That, like, this is not a comrade.
That's that sickness I was telling you about, Quill. That's the sickness right there.
Yeah.
That like we have a problem, and I look at you as the enemy every time we have a problem, because there's no other way I know how to handle this, and it's just a default that like I hate you in this moment.
Yeah, but
And I agree. Oh, go ahead.
I just think it comes with the maturity, because, like, again, I'm not quick to throw words around. If I love you, if you're hurt, I'm feeling that hurt. If you're happy, I feel the happiness, right? So I can't see you as my enemy, because then that means that whatever issue is going on with you, I feel it as well, right? I don't understand how relationships can, I mean, I know they do exist, but I don't understand how they can just exist in so much turmoil where like what, we're only good for the good parts and then we're enemies when things are bad. That's not how it works.
But I
That's how
think
I would
But
say
I
most
guess too
common
though,
relationships.
now go ahead. Go ahead, real
No,
dope.
no, I was just saying I think that's extremely common that people react in that unhealthy way where they make the other person the enemy instead of the problem being the enemy. I think that's very common. Maybe the majority, I would say, of relationships.
That's a
So
problem.
I guess too though,
I
we're
was
not
gonna
really
say,
taught problem solving skills either though. Like I think a lot of times where uh, I know personally I didn't really see like really healthy problem solving skills. I know for the most part, my parents, one, they weren't together, you know, they weren't ever together. But then even my step parents that I had, um, I didn't really see anybody that really knew how to effectively really communicate anything. Most of the time, stuff got swept under the rug and nobody talked about it. So by the time I got older and I got to like being with my wife, and I think I needed somebody like her because I did not like getting in conflict. Like I would just look, I'm gone, I'm walking out, and she like, we gonna talk about this. And it was like I needed some of that too though, because it forced me to face some of those things because walking away from it's not always good because then the problem's still there. So, but
Mm-hmm.
we balanced each other out because she had that, hey, no, we gonna talk about it, and I still had some of the time where we needed to walk away because we were too angry. So it just depended on the situation and the circumstances at the time, but it worked because we had what the other lacked. And I think that's what like relationships are. With like that person fulfills some type of need within you. I believe anyway.
Yeah. Charles
Now,
mentioned this to me. Now, oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, Julie.
No, real quick. Something that Charles mentioned to me a while ago, and I'll never forget it, is the relationship that you're in is meant to help you grow, right, and develop as a person. So a lot of times you're not going to end up with a person who is exactly like you. You're going to end up with some, and Charles, please stop me and correct me if I'm if I'm messing it up. You're going to end up with someone who's not necessarily like you because the areas that you lack, they will help you improve upon, and vice versa. So in my mind, if I go into conflict knowing that my person is trying to help me versus going into it as that's the enemy. Does that make sense?
it does make sense.
Absolutely. You know, when you think about it, right? You saw we all a lot of times we get on this panel and there are people in the comments. I think those people are a representation of what I'm saying. So a lot of people won't look at your idea or your statement or your argument or your perspective as the issue because your perspective can change. They'll say things about you, right? They'll call you names. Um, Instead of saying, you know what, I think your perspective is wrong, and this is what I'll offer you to try to change your perspective. People they demonize you instead of your argument or your position. And I just think it's extremely common. You can see it in just all forms of the way that we communicate.
Which I
So
think, okay.
just real quick, because I don't want to lose it. I lost it and I got it back and I found it again. What we're talking about, there's a book called, I think it's called The Four Agreements. And one of the four agreements is to like never take anything personal. Am I right, Casey? Is that the book? And that's never take anything personal. So you can't control the external world. People are who they are, whether you're in a relationship with them or not in a relationship with them. But if you can understand that they're a mirror, giving you the opportunity to show you yourself, and you apply the principle of never taking anything personal, then even when they insult you, like Casey was talking about, the ability to not just be reactive even if they genuinely are just evil, they're giving you an opportunity to show yourself that you can be the composed version of yourself in the face of disrespect. Now, I mean, sometimes you gotta get somebody. Sometimes somebody gotta catch these hands. They gotta catch your ass whooping. It is what it is. But when you're in the process of doing your self work, your wife, your husband, your children, your mother, your father, your dog, your cat, your next door neighbor who cuts grass at 12 at night, they're all giving you an opportunity to better see yourself. The cool thing about it is you get to decide who it is you want to be, right? Somebody with weak boundaries, if I'm coaching you and you have weak boundaries, I'm not necessarily going to tell you to hold your tongue. I might tell you, it's time for you to speak up. But if I'm coaching somebody who's always in fights and always taking things personal, I'm going to say, hey, this is the opportunity for you to become more chill, more calm, and not take things personal, and realize that your value and your worth doesn't come from other people's perspectives. It comes from you and the Most High. So real quick, I got to get my guy, Dr. E, in here. What up, Dr. E?
What up, though? Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. How you feeling?
Oh man, I'm holding. Life be life, and like they say, right? So
Yeah.
doing the best I can with what I got.
Okay. Well, the conversation tonight, we're talking about men needing respect and women needing love. For those of you who don't know, Dr. E is a therapist like Miss Angie. So, and Dr. E is married. So, as a husband and as a psychologist or psychotherapist, I don't know what your official title is. Do you think that men need respect more than love, or is that just how we've raised men to be from a societal standpoint?
So I would say first you said psychologist or psychotherapist. I'm both. But when it comes to men needing respect more than love, I think it's one and the same. So we read respect as love. So men definitely want to be respected, and that's how we feel love. So I think it's kind of the same thing.
Okay. I'm just gonna bounce this off you, and because we always have these good back and forth dialogues, right? This is a thought I had when I came up with the topic. Men, whenever we hear men talk about relationships, men be like, "We just want peace."
Mm-hmm.
Men want peace, and women want to feel safe. So the way I kind of quantified it is, men are so attached to the idea of respect because even if you and I disagree with one another, if we respect one another, we're more likely to end up with a peaceful outcome, which may be we agree to disagree, right? That gives me peace, that gives you peace, right? Two countries at odds that have respect for one another are less likely to end up in physical confrontation. We're more likely to come to a peaceful agreement. I think with women naturally want to feel safe and secure, the less physically dominant of the species. So when a woman feels loved, she feels safe. And so I was just thinking about how men's desire for peace and women's desire for safety and security may be attached to men's need for respect and women's need for love. Anybody on the panel can respond to that. That's just a thought I had.
Well, I think my response to that is, and I think Angie said this earlier. I think it's different sides of the same coin, right? Like we're calling it something different based on holistically, right? Of course, there's always anomalies and outliers, but holistically, men receive love differently. And sometimes it shows up in a way that we just qualify as respect because it's just easier. But I think it's true. I don't think any person, man or woman, if they're honest, would say, I'm gonna pick one over the other and don't give me the other at all. like this not gonna happen. But I do think, and again, as from a woman's perspective, I think that it's probably more challenging for a man to receive love from his woman if she does not first respect him. And so I think those things have to go hand in hand. That if he does not wholeheartedly believe that this woman that he has joined his life with in some capacity does not respect him, it's going to be really hard to convince him that she loves him. Right. And so I think because it is a sociological construct in some sense of how we show up gendered in society, in the workplace, in other communities, that men, a lot of times will tell you, I don't need you to like me. I need you to respect me. Right. Like they'll go into spaces where they're not necessarily looking for everybody to be clamoring for their attention. But when you talk to them, you're going to talk to them with a certain level of respect. And so I think we prioritize that in a way that then diminishes the fact that they also want, desire, and need love as well. But I do think that we're talking about relationships, it's going to be really hard, at least for the men I know in my life, to be convinced and believe that their woman loves them if she does not respect him.
I also think that it comes out through, like you're saying though, through the way that we have to walk in life, through our walk in life, and through how we interact in whatever fields that we're going in. I think that does play a role in the field that you go in, and the people that you're around, and the environments that you're in. Because I think that's even changing even in our society, as because men are being defined in different ways now, just based off of what we're the social norms that we have now, if that makes sense. Um, so I just think that a lot of times that I think the understanding of it is becoming kind of diluted, though. I mean, that I will just say that. I just think that it's being mixed up just based off of we have too much information available to us. And I just think it gets mixed up because now we're giving a lot of people are giving definitions to things that is its own definition now. So I think that's why I think it's so confusing, and why this conversation even has to be had the way it's being had, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that like when you think of respect, it's either an umbrella or I'll say a springboard for other things. It's just like the power of respect, because I do believe like if you respect me, you will be loyal to me. If you respect me, you'll be honest with me. If you respect me, you will love me, and not just that surface level love, but that deeper love. Um, and even when we interact with people on a day-to-day basis, we give people that we don't even know, strangers, like a basic level of respect just off the rip, where we won't say, well, I love them, I love that person, that you don't know them, but like you give people the basic level of respect. We, bump into somebody, we say, excuse me, we, hold the door for people we don't know. So I think even in that demonstrates just how powerful respect is in relationships, even with people we aren't in relationship with. So
Can I add to that? Had thought about just how men and women just operate in general. I'm thinking about if, like, say, for example, everybody on, you got men and women. If y'all are getting ready to put your clothes on and you get ready to go out, hang out for the night, what is your thought? I know for most men, the thought is, man, I got to be respected. Regardless if it's a man or woman you engage with, you want to be respected when you leave out. For women, I don't know if it's the same. So you ladies can help me out with this. When you put on your makeup, you're getting your outfit together, and y'all get ready to go hit the scene, and y'all get ready to walk in with these other ladies. Do you want your outfit to be loved, or do you want to feel like you're respected?
Depends on the night.
and
Like, I mean, I'm just, just
Hell
saying,
of a question.
depends on, no, I
think
mean,
that's what
I
people
think
allow
in
it.
that scenario, we want it to be loved. You know what I'm saying? Like we want to feel that the effort we put into making the choice, how we put it on, how it accentuates our bodies or our features. We want folks to look at it and be like, "Oh, she did that," right? Not
Yeah.
necessarily like I respect her, right? It's just like I put all this time into getting a certain reaction from you.
Right.
So yes, I hear
Yeah.
you and I agree with you on that one.
So it kind of transcends relationships, whether it's an intimate relationship or just a relationship in general. Men just want to be respected. Guys like, man, like, somebody jump out there. If I get disrespected, blah, blah, blah. Like I hear it all the time. But with ladies, it's just a little different. Y'all look at it a little different. So same way in a relationship, you know.
But this is the thing though. You connected it. Was that a fair comparison because you mentioned the man and what they wear are about what they're wearing, you mentioned women of what they're wearing, do we show up to be respected, but you didn't use that same as far as a men and what they're putting on and wearing is what's looking causing them to look for respect. Did you or did I miss that?
So I think in any aspect of how the man shows up, he wants it to be respected.
Right.
So
So and I
so it's
think
always going to be respect for the guy.
it's going to be the same for the women too.
As
You
far
But I
saying
as
guess the vantage point is different though, Dr. Hawk, because what I guess when we're stepping out as men, we're we're stepping out to be respected, not necessarily for the attention that we might get from it, but to be respected in general. Because a guy that really like a man is going to want to place himself and have a reputation based off of who he is, not based off of how people are going to view it. If that makes sense.
yeah, I gotta
Now,
disagree with the
I
with the
think
lady.
yeah, I would say I think that everybody is stepping out to enjoy themselves and just hope and wish that when they're out, they don't run into no bull-ish that they feel disrespected. And I think it's a man or a woman because if you think about it, women when they're out, they are more likely to get into a scuffle or kerfuffle when you're out about when you see. You got to be real. Am
But
I
hold on,
lying?
Dr. Hope. But,
you said, women are more likely to get into something than men, as far as getting.
Yeah, because they feel like, oh, she disrespected me,
you
Yeah, so
talking,
I
Dr. Hope,
guess I
you
look
talking
at it.
about you talking about the young girls. You talking about the young ratchets. That's not who we're not talking about.
No, 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 no. Even grown ones, even grown
But hold
ones.
on. So Dr. Hope, like, um, I think the way I'm quantifying it is like this, right? A woman
Who
gets
would know females like that? I'm sorry. Wait.
a woman gets all dolled up. Most women, when they get all dolled up, the hope is that people are going to look at them and admire them for their beauty. Oh, she has a nice dress. I like her makeup. Her hair looks good. All of that stuff, right? Um, I don't think men typically dress up to receive per se compliments. Men, we simply carry ourselves in a way that we think would make people respect us, right? So it's more about the way you walk, the smoothness, the way you move. Are you agile? Are you fit? But it's not necessarily just for someone to admire the physical specimen that we are, but to respect the inner man that is exuding to the outer world. And I know that
I
may
think
sound like it's shallow.
on a day-to-day basis, yes, but if you're getting dressed to go out, I think you're on the it's a song. My mama, I look fly. Everybody wants to their outfit. When you put on that suit as a man, you know and Dr. E, I've seen you with a couple suits on, so don't front like that ain't it.
But
When you
see,
But that,
guys don't operate the
But
same
Dr.
way
E is
as
not putting on a
women.
suit to be like, oh, Dr. E looks good in his suit.
But I know you're not trying to say guys and women operate the same when we putting our clothes on. Is that what you're saying?
No, I think she's trying to say
when
that
you're
men
when you're
also want to
when
look
you're
good.
getting dressed up to go out. Listen, I live with a man. When you get dressed up to go out, or Look, you got men. Look, I don't even iron my clothes sometimes, but my husband will, because he wants, you know, the clothes to be a certain way and to look a certain
So
way. So I
But
don't think
Dr.
it's fair to just put that on women when we're
we
dressed
talking about the
But
motivation behind it, though. It's the
mhm,
motivation behind it. It's
mhm.
what's driving it.
Right.
He's saying
Yeah.
the forethought behind it. He's not saying that in the forethought behind what you're saying. It's not like we're not thinking about that at some point. It's the first thought isn't like I'm getting dressed up and G'd up that and that's why I'm doing it.
to
But
be
there's like
respected.
No, no,
Come on, that's big
no,
cat. I'm sorry.
So okay, let me
no,
let me tell me let me tell
no.
you
I
from
think
what I see oftentimes when you, and ladies, you guys can probably attest to this. A lot of guys don't even feel comfortable going out because they don't want nothing to jump off. They don't feel like being possibly disrespected, right? So
Mhm.
that keeps guys from going out. I mean, it's a big drive. Respect is a big driver when it comes to guys versus women not necessarily thinking like that. They like, come on, man, it's not gonna be like that. Come on, let's just go out. You're like, man, I ain't even trying to deal with it tonight.
Which is why, and I get that because you're more likely to see a group of women out and about than men. So I do get that. So if the reason that you see that is because men are saying like I ain't trying to be disrespectful, so I get the other
I'm
side.
telling you, man,
but
it's
I,
deep.
I, one thing I want to say is, men, we do get dressed up to look good, right? However,
Yeah.
we don't do that if it's going to be absent of respect. We make sure that they're both there, right? We put on cologne, we do all of that. We want to smell good, we want to look good. But I think the difference with a lot of women is they don't get dressed up for respect. The respect is not a part at all for most women of the equation. It's always a part of the equation for us, and we won't put on an outfit that we won't get respect in. However, many women, they want to show off their bodies. They might have a nice body. They might be like, "I was working on my body. I want y'all to see it." I'm gonna see your body, and we're gonna look at your body. That doesn't mean we're gonna respect you.
But see,
And you can tell it to a woman, and she won't care.
but I'm gonna say this too.
That's
A man
big.
that has been working on his body will do the same. I don't think it's fair to just
but
put
but
that.
but
No,
it's not as common, Dr. Hawk.
I think it's different. So I hear what you're saying, Dr. Hawkins. I do. I wholeheartedly agree with you, but I think it's from a different perspective. I think the man will take the time, the intention. He wants, right, whatever work he's been doing to be noticed, right? But I think it's still from a point of I want them to respect the hard work. I want them to respect the time I put into this. I want them to respect the fact that I have a fashion sense or not. So it's still, I I don't believe most men are putting clothes on like, oh, I want them to love this. Right? I don't think they have that in their mind. Most men, but
And
more so, women are like, oh, I'm gonna kill them with this tonight. I'm not really thinking about you respecting me.
Right. Don't miss what brother just said. A lot of women, despite the disrespect that they may receive from having their ass out and their cleavage out, they not tripping off the disrespect that's coming.
Yep.
They like, I'm gonna wear this anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, I mean, it's true. There are a lot of times. Look, homecoming is on its way, right? I already know homecoming. We dress a little different than our very classy selves and our professional jobs that we have. And there's a lot of conversation that my former classmates say to me and my homegirls that we would never let slide in any other space other than the fact I intentionally wore this for homecoming because it's the Q party, it's the Kappa party, and I know what's gonna go down when we get here. I'm not looking for you to respect me. Now, don't try me, but I'm not looking for you to come. It's like, you know what, you look very nice tonight in that. Like, if I'm not getting a certain reaction, then I didn't do my job when I left the house.
So
She
Dr. Hawk,
intentionally
it's
going to
been a
get
long
disrespected.
hold
Yeah,
on,
no,
hold on, hold on,
but
hold on,
it's been
hold
a
on.
long time it's been a long time since I've been single. So I'm wondering if that's why my mindset, because regardless, I'm still going out and I'm saying, if what I have on, if I do people, am I representing my husband? Because I don't want people looking at me, and I'm not going out for people to look at me. So that may be what it is. is
Right.
for me.
Right.
So that's if I was single, my mindset may be different.
It may be different. So, but Dr. Hawk, this is the example that was coming to my mind, right? Like, imagine a woman and she has a really dope body, right? But she also has a job like yours, right?
Mhm.
You're an
Right.
educator, right? As an educator, you want to show up looking and dressed in a way that commands respect.
Right.
Oh, that made me
Right?
think of teacher, baby.
Right.
Keep going. I go.
Yeah.
Right? Right? You show up in a way that commands respect. Kamala
is
Harris,
true.
Hillary Clinton, all of Michelle Obama, and whenever they're going out in public and they want to be respected, they show up in a certain way, right? But if you're going out with Mr. Tom for a night out on the town, you're not showing up in your pantsuit, right? You showing up so that everybody can see, oh, Mr. Tom wife, she bad, right? Because if you wanted respect, you know how to dress in order to get the respect, right? You don't do that, right? You're not doing that for a night out on the town.
I think Dr. Hawk does it for Mr. Tom.
That's who I do.
If Mr. Tom likes what she got on, then that's what she's gonna wear.
I understand that for her, but I'm giving her that in general for the conversation, though, right?
And and for me, like I do it for him because I feel like I need to match his fly kind of thing. You know what I mean? And not so much for other people. So maybe I'm looking for people to look at us as a unit. But I'm doing it.
I guess you have to take yourself outside of that.
I know. I'm trying to.
Like, you got to think about it. Like, I think that's where it's important in these conversations, because just because you as a woman and in your relationship you're doing that, the masses aren't. The masses aren't doing that. And what they're doing is not working, and it's muddying the waters, and it's honestly why things aren't working for men or women, because there are things that muddy the waters on both sides. But this in particular is messing up, because now some of the women who may have good character, who may be good women, are adopting some of the behaviors of the ones who have bad character.
And
I feel this goes back to like communication, though. Again, like what we were talking about before, all of this is us communicating, whether it's verbally or non-verbally. So whatever hat you wear, and sometimes we wear a lot of different hats. We're going outside trying to figure out, how do I communicate to people how I want to show up that day. So when I'm walking out the door, for the most part, I'm always thinking about myself as my husband's wife. That's a big one. I mean, I'm a representation of him. So I know that there are a lot of things that, I think about how I talk to people, how I interact with people, what I wear, like that is a representation of him. But then I'm also thinking about, maybe myself in a professional setting, especially if I know that I'm circulating out there online, and I know that maybe my clients could find me somewhere, like I do think about that a lot, if I'm out. So my communication to the world is I'm still representing that too. Or I might be representing that I'm a mom or whatever that is. But I do feel that a lot of men do tend to lead with, like, I just want to be respected regardless. Like, of course I want to look good. Like I'm going to do my thing. But at the same time, for men, a lot of times they don't want to be tried in that way. Like, not today. Like, I need that to be the first hat that I put on. And then maybe the second hat I put on is like, what I want to kind of showcase, my abs, or that I've been working out, or whatever that might be. But first and foremost, you're going to respect me. That's number one, because we're not going to get to anything else until I know that you respect me first. So I do see that. I do see that a lot more so with men. But again, this is all, communication, verbal, nonverbal. Communication is a tool that I feel like a lot of times we don't always know how to effectively utilize in a lot of situations, whether it's in your relationship or just if you're not in a relationship. How are you utilizing that tool in the most effective way?
Hey, Julie.
Yeah.
I think you're a really good person to jump in on this. You know why?
Why?
Well, I know you personally, so I know that respect is important to you, right? But I also know that as an entrepreneur, what you do requires you to dance and salsa dancer instructor and all of that good stuff. So how do you balance that, and what is your perspective on that.
Yeah. When I go out, I just have to ask myself, am I going to be respect in my outfit, right? And how are people going to perceive what I am wearing? Because in my industry, what you're wearing is a nonverbal piece of communication, you know? And for me, it's always going to be respect first. So I need to carry myself in the way that I assume people are going to communicate with me once, you know, I'm out there. I even go as far as not being in certain circles of other female dancers. Like if I know that they wear certain things, I'm not going to mix in with them because I'm not. How can I avoid being treated the way that they're going to be? It's 100% guaranteed they are going to be treated that way. So a lot of times, like I'll be like, oh, I'll see the lineup for a gig, and I'm like, yeah, no, take me out of there, like because I know how I want to be treated, and I think I don't know why, right? I don't know why, but for me, it feels icky to go somewhere and the first thing, you know, people do is see you and already they're seeing you as an object. But you add a layer to that of what you're wearing, how you're talking to them, you know, it's difficult for me to watch because I'm like, you have a say in this. You didn't have to wear that dress. And I know a lot of times people are like, you know, men have to be respectful no matter what I'm wearing. Come on, like, let's think about it for a second. You know what I mean? And I see it so much in my work that I'm just like, you didn't think this through? Like your homegirl didn't say it might be a little bit too much. I don't know.
So do you, when you're doing a gig and you gotta, you know, wear whatever it is that you have to wear, do you find yourself overcompensating the opposite end of it? Like I have to make sure I'm super professional. I have to make sure in that type of thing to let the people know, like, even though I'm dressed in this way, this is a business venture for me. It's not just me just out here with a short dress or whatever on.
Yeah. Like for example, I'm not usually a drinker anyway, but whenever I have a gig, that's like a given. Like, oh, you want to have a drink, you know, after your show? I'm like, no, thanks. I'll just have some water because I don't want to blurry. Is that a right word? Blurry? Blurry.
Yeah, that is
Blur the professionalism. And I think that's what has kept me in this industry for such a long time is that no one can say anything about me not being professional or me having dealt with some dude or something in the scene. You're never going to hear that about me. Because it's just, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say though, I think that's pivotal. Even though you have a business, I think it's pivotal for not just your business, but for you as a person.
Yeah.
I think that's why a lot of because now we have this mentality: take me as I am. Nobody should judge. Nobody can judge me. Nobody should have a thought towards what I'm wearing and whatever. And it's like, but we do judge. No matter who we are, we judge. We pass judgment.
Yeah.
And the thing is that people confuse the whole the scripture that people reference. They confuse it with judgment that it was spoken in this context was talking about condemnation, you condemning someone. But passing a regular judgment, having an opinion and a thought towards something, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that now we have this mentality that, man, I should be able to just walk around however I want, and nobody should have to say anything. And you're walking around with bonnets on and like all thrown away and no care for it. But then you wonder why can't I find anybody? But you're not you're a billboard and don't realize you're a billboard, and this is what you getting. We getting slummy from you and not unattractive. Even if you are attractive, you don't care enough to put yourself together, because my uncle used to always say, you never know who you're gonna meet. You never know who you're gonna run into. So you should be prepared at all times to meet somebody, or not even just that. Don't go to the same McDonald's every time. Like maybe go across town. You go on one side of the town, go to the next one. But it's like people aren't strategic to actually meet anybody anymore.
And not just meeting someone, but when you go out, you're a representation of yourself. Like
Yeah.
how people are going to and it's sad to say, but it doesn't matter. It is what it is. People are going to judge you and they're going to treat you based on how you present. So if you go somewhere and you look crazy, don't get mad at other people for responding in a way that you're like, hold on. And I notice this too. Like sometimes I'll go out and I just sit there and watch people, and I'll see people, aren't paying attention, walking around in their pajamas in the store, and employees are looking at them like ignoring them. And then they get mad. And I'm like, no, you have to represent who you are and how you want to be treated. So that means that when you leave your house, make sure that you're prepared to have these interactions with the rest of the world.
Which brings me back to say women are, and again, I know it's probably me, and because of what I do, my position and being a wife and being a mother, that I'm not wearing that banner or that jacket of women get dressed or dialed up for somebody to say, I want you to respect me as well.
Dr.
And
Hawk,
it's,
I don't.
But that's
No,
you
I don't
though.
think that. No, I don't think that's what it
I
is.
know.
Yeah, no, it's not that. I don't. Let me just use me as an example, okay?
I know, because I see some ratchetness out there too. I do.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
gonna,
Like
I know.
literally, I had somebody call me today, and they saw a photo of me. Right, I was going to a particular event, and because I work with young people, because I'm in ministry, they see me dressed a certain way 9 times out of 10. Right, this particular time the event called for me to put on something different and I felt comfortable doing it and that's what I did. And so they called and they were like, I would have never thought. I was like, well, that's because women are dynamic creatures. There are different versions and sides of us. And I'm not always going to put on a suit or a dress below my knees and all my buttons up and you don't never see my cleavage. Like this is just a side of me that you got privy to because you was looking too deep on my photos, right? Don't look for my birthday photos coming October because you get your feelings hurt again. And
Hey,
so I'm not saying I walk out saying, oh, I don't care if I get respected today, but I'm also not, and it could be different places in
but you're
life.
complex, Casey. Like
I'm
I think
complex
people.
and
I
I
think
embrace all parts of me, which means there are sometimes I don't want you to ask me what my profession is based on what I'm wearing. I didn't go out to have to talk about work. I didn't go out for you to remember who I am and all these titles and all these degrees that I
Mhm.
have. I went out to forget all that for a moment. Now, should you come at me, groping me, being out of pocket with me? Absolutely not. But I also didn't get dressed with the idea of, oh, this is going to have them respect me when I walk out the door. That is not on the top of my mind at all.
And to your point though, Casey, I think that's the mentality that we have, that we only associate people with the titles that they have. Like I learned that, especially in the church. Like growing up in the church, is a whole lot of church folks that okay, because they see the pastor can't do nothing. Like the pastor got to be perfect. He can't do nothing. He can't be nothing else. Then you see the pastor out. He cutting the rug with his
Smoking
wife,
up to
and
God, man. You
he,
sending
uh,
him to
and you're
hell.
like, oh, pastor, you know the pastor ain't doing that. It's like, wait a minute. This is what gets me with a lot of them. Most of them people got like 3, 4 kids. Like they don't know what getting down is no more. Like you know what I'm saying? Like you know what it is, but then you try to act like that's the most disgusting thing in the world. Like for somebody to be affectionate with their wife, or somebody to sit there like they got on Dietrich Haddon about what he was doing. It's like that's that man wife.
I will say this though, and I would ask this to the men, like, doesn't it make you? Okay, I'll ask Chells and Quell. Doesn't it like
We're
satisfy?
men. We still
Yes,
apply.
yes, yes.
We
No,
still
but
apply.
I have to think about it for a second because you're married men. Doesn't it
It's right.
satisfy
It's
you?
different for married.
Right, it's different
Mhm.
for married men. Doesn't it like satisfy you to know that there's a part of your wife that people don't get to see?
Yes.
Right? So in my brain, I am a wife. I don't want the world to see every single side of me because then when I meet my husband, like, then what?
So here's the thing, right? It's because there's a little bit more nuance to answer the question simply. Yes, I like and appreciate the fact that there's aspects of my wife that only I get to see, right? And a lot of times when we have these conversations, we talk about status, right? And because of hypergamy, we tend to look at it and come to the conclusion that men uplift women's status. But here's the truth. If you're walking around with a bad chick on your arm, it increases your status.
Sure does.
Right? That's where you get the idea of trophy wives from. Because if you are a champ, you get a trophy. That means you are a winner. You have upgraded your status. So while no, I don't want the world to see my wife in OnlyFans status, it does help me out a little bit if me and my wife go out and people like, damn, his wife is beautiful.
So
right.
I get that, Chels, because I will say I probably wear the shortest dresses, or you'll probably get to see a little bit more cleavage when I'm out with my husband.
But that's
I'm out with my husband.
exactly. You're with your
Right.
husband, you know?
Yeah.
I'm just seeing it from like the single woman's perspective. Like, damn, like when you go out, do you not think about that? Like, you're showing all your goods to the world all the time. Like, what is left for that special man?
Or maybe
Nothing.
some of those women
But I
don't
guess
want
too,
to be
though.
married, or they don't have that mindset that you're a wife before you become one, right?
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
even with my own example, I mean, I'm not busting it wide open. You know what I'm saying? I'm not out here, showing everything. But I mean, it may be a little tighter, maybe a little shorter, here and there or whatever. But I think there's some women who, particularly like in the last 10-15 years, like this idea, you meet so many more women who do not desire marriage, right? And so they don't have that as a mindset of, let me be mindful of still how I go out as a single woman because I want to be a wife one day. Like some women, just that is so far from what they want for their lives that doesn't even factor into the decisions that they make. And there's like some places I do
But
not go.
I
I
also
see
think
dates
that
a
it.
lot of places, and I'm like, no, and that's going too far. Like, I'm not going there. Like, 'cause we're
But
gonna have to
I also
draw the
think
line.
that it depends on the caliber of man that person is going after too. Though I think the people that they used to being around, the environments they used to being around, the mentality that they have, I think a lot of that plays a role into it too. And some people like it's certain rooms that you may have been in that most people haven't. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think we have to consider that too. Is like where have they been?
Mhm.
What they have been exposed to? What culture are they exposed to? Like a lot of that stuff plays a role in that. And like me in particular, I think that's subjective based off the man too. Like I think it's some people that they're okay with their wife, like some of the stuff that their wife might be a little bit more seductive with what they wear out. Like that's just religion would play a role. That's just like I'm not like one of like the Jehovah Witnesses where like you can't show nothing. Like you know what I'm saying? Like they gotta wear skirts, can't show anything, and no type of skin. So I think it's a line, and I guess it just depends on your morals and standards, and then the standards upon which your relationship was established.
Right. Okay.
Can I go back to something? I'm sorry, I can't move on without this.
Dr.
So,
Hall, are we about
I
to
know
talk
Dr.
about
Ela.
what are we talking about?
I
Dr.
know,
Hall?
but I know Dr. Ela, but I just want to see, do you guys agree? So in the single world, if when people are single, Do you believe that men are getting dressed just to be respected, or do you believe men are getting dressed in a way because they're trying to catch something too, like the
Listen,
women when they go out?
Dr. Hawk, listen, it's not that a man doesn't
Am
care.
I crazy? Because you know, a woman, if you go with some busted shoes on or something, you're not picking nothing up.
But you're thinking about it in terms of extremes, but it's not even an extreme type of argument that's being made, right? We're really talking about the prioritization of what the individual desires, right? So
Their
you don't
intent.
want a man. You don't want a man just because he look good.
You know what?
Right?
Wait,
You
I'm
don't-
sorry. There are men
right,
out there trying to pick up a piece of something. But
right. So you're not attracted to a man simply because he looks good, especially if you're considering him as a mate. You want him to show up respectfully, right?
I get yeah.
Right. So when a man gets suited and booted and put his cologne on, he knows he look good and all of that good stuff, but that's just not his top priority. His priority is being respected, right? Because you could turn me down, but I'd rather you turn me down in a respectful way. Does that make sense? Dr. Hawk don't like it, but I got to reset the conversation because I have a really good question, and we'll finish. Okay. We'll come back next Friday, maybe next Friday. I'm gonna be in Atlanta next Friday. I'll be down there hanging out with Kacey. I have a question for the ladies, but more specifically for Angie, right? Do you find that the couples that you have counseled and all of that good stuff, do you find that women do a good job of allowing their husbands to talk, to just communicate without cutting them off or hurrying them along to their point?
Let me see, where am I going to start with this? Okay, so
she got a rep for the lady. She like, let me find a way to put this so that my girls ain't offended. Yeah, they be cutting them off.
Don't break girl, and don't break girl code.
Hey, this is not the G code, dog.
What I have found, man, you put me on the spot.
I'll answer it if you want me to. It's all good.
No, it's all good. Pharisee. Okay, so what I have found is that I do tend to have to kind of like so your role, like on this panel, is to kind of moderate, and so I do find myself in those situations sometimes where we're really getting to like the meat of the issue, like the root. And right when the husband or the boyfriend is really kind of getting to a space of vulnerability, it's usually one of those things that she doesn't typically like to hear, because the vulnerable stuff comes out and it's not always the prettiest thing you want to hear. And so I do find that when he starts to become more vulnerable, then she finds herself interjecting and kind of trying to make her point clear as to why she did or said the things that she did or said. But then what we're doing is we're disrupting the communication, right? Like, so I need for him to be able to actually verbalize what he's thinking, even if it doesn't come out the best way. Because see, what I can do is I can help guide you through that. So like, once you make your statement, then I can validate your statement. And then we can kind of go back and talk about, some more effective tools about how do I communicate this in the future. But right now, I just want you to get it out. I want you to get it out. And a lot of times I do find that women have struggled and had challenges with his truth, however that has come out. As long as he's not being disrespectful in the way of like, I'm calling you names, or it's one thing to say, this is some fucked up shit, as opposed to saying, you a piece of fucked up shit. You know what I mean? That's different, So like, obviously I will walk them through that, you know what I mean? Like the differences between that, but it's still very hard for her to hear it at first because it's just something that she just doesn't want to hear. And so again, I'm teaching her too, how do I receive my partner's, viewpoint, their vantage point, and not necessarily take it like this is a direct attack on me. Let me just hear the message first. Let me digest it. And then we're going to start kind of working through what that statement meant for him. But I do see that they have a lot of challenges with that. I'll be honest. I have found that usually when women are speaking, the guys rarely interrupt. I mean, rarely. Like I'm talking like less than 5%. And I'm just saying, this is years of this work, and I'm just calling it like I said. You know,
you're just telling the truth, and the truth shall set you free. The reason I ask is because I'm solution oriented, right? And the topic is respect. And one of my pet peeves is not being able to finish my sentence. I don't care if you already know what I'm going to say. I don't care if you think you know what I'm going to say. I want to finish my sentence. Now, here's something that I just found out within the past year or so. Is that the way a woman's brain operates, when a woman is thinking, she has more neurons firing in her mind than a man does when a man thinks. And if you've ever sat around and watched a bunch of women at brunch or whatever, all of them can talk at the same damn time. And then it's like y'all rehearse this shit. On cue, you be like, no. Yeah, girl. We don't hear none of that shit. I didn't hear anything that any one of y'all
Tell
said.
me about it, boy.
I'm not one of y'all. I don't know what the fuck you talking about, right? So here's, and I'm solution oriented. I'm a coach, right? I'm letting women know. Just because a man pauses, if he pauses in the middle of a sentence where if it was written grammatically, there would be a comma, be quiet. There is more to come. And it may be exactly what you needed to hear to save or improve your relationship, right? If you have to say something, be like, are you done? And he's probably going to say, no, actually, what I was going to say is, and the reason that is because our brains, when communicating, don't fire as quickly as y'all's do. So, but that it happens often to men. And so I told my dad this the other day. I said, you know something? I'm finally learning something. I said, you know how old black men just don't really talk? I said, I know why. I'm 42. My life expectancy is 70. So technically I'm in my middle age, right? So this is the part where I start finding out that it's time for me to shut the hell up. But when I do talk, I want to be able to finish my sentence. So if you respect matters to men, right? If you're in a relationship with a man or you're communicating with a man and you want to show him respect, one of the easiest ways to do it is to let that man finish his sentence. And then you're going to get to talk for as long as you want to, because like Angie just said, for the most part, once I'm done talking, I'm going to just sit there.
Yeah. I mean, I always look at it too, like, what I tell a lot of couples, and mainly when I'm speaking to women, what do you envision as the most successful outcome? And so if I told you that the most successful outcome would come from you allowing him to finish the thought, then you kind of process the thought, then you share, your ideas or your views on it. If I told you that would lead to the most successful outcome, would you do it? And so a lot of times, they have to even think about that, because sometimes as women, we'd rather be right than get the successful outcome. That's just, and I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying.
What is that? Where does that? Oh, cool. You cutting out. What'd you say, bro?
No, I was just gonna say, do you think that's like a controlling issue? Do you think it's just trying to manage the situation, or like, you get where I'm going with it? Like, to be honest, I found that in a lot of arguments I've had with the women I've been with, is I'm trying to like control the narrative of the conversation or whatever, and how it's going.
I think it can go a little deeper. I think a lot of times, for women, and this is not to blame it on like hormonal changes and things like that, but we shift so rapidly that at one moment we might say that this is what we want. And then as we're listening to something else and another thought comes, because we kind of go like this, it's almost like in waves. Then it's like, okay, I got a new thought. Now I actually want this, And so a lot of times, I know, I'm not saying.
What do you want from me?
Right?
So wait a minute, you telling me?
I know it's frustrating, right? And so this is where, as women, you have to almost be taught, like, what does it look like to step outside of me. Like, I want to see myself in a situation like this. And a lot of times you can't see that unless you actually get an opportunity to see other people, interact like that, or someone is literally teaching you that. Because a lot of times as women, we don't have that. We don't have that type of counsel. We don't have anyone saying, like, again, the most successful outcome, that needs to be the goal. And if the goal is this, then if I know that this is going to get me to the goal, how about I be quiet just for a moment and see how this plays out? Now, if it doesn't play out, and it doesn't work to my advantage, or it doesn't benefit the relationship. So let me say that, not so much to my advantage, but it needs to benefit the relationship. It has to be about us. It's not just about me. But again, if I'm going like this, right?
I'm gonna tell you something though. But I'm glad I'm up here, because these type of interactions that I had with my wife about this, because I could be saying something, I could be having a deed. I mean, I'm talking to her, and I mean, she is on to the next conversation. And I'm like, yo, what we were just talking about this. Like, she was like, well, that's how mine works. And I'm like, it'd be so, oh my God, it'd be so frustrating. And I'd be like, yo, why are you like this? And now that I like hearing it and hearing y'all, this the agreement from all y'all, like, this is just a woman thing. This.
Well,
Right.
well,
Don't deserve.
we talked about this brain and how the brain of the woman and man functions. We've talked about that before. Is like thought process in men, you just front to back. Women, we go front here. So sometimes we might talk and scrabble instead of a straight line, or sometimes complete. But we might
Oh my God.
So, I mean, I know the way I kind of handle it is like,
it's
if
true.
my wife is kind of having one of those moments where everything is coming out, I'll wait till she's done, and I'll be like, all right, so did you want my opinion, or you just venting, or did you want my? This is what I thought about this one part, but that probably ain't even the part that she was really caring about. That's just the setup, because women gonna give you the whole setup, and you think that's the story. It's not your turn, bro. It is not your turn. It was never your turn. Chris Rock say, all you gotta do is set them up and knock them down. It's
That
like,
ain't what
bro,
I'm saying, Chills. I'm talking about, we like this. Just say, for instance,
your opinion
she
doesn't
asked me.
matter, Chris. She's already
No,
moved on.
just I get it. But just say she asked me about my day, or she asked me a certain question, and we converse, and we going back and forth. Her mind is, she got the mind of a rodent, because it's just like, oh my goodness, and she moving on to the next thing, and I'm like, yo, I was like in the middle of a sentence right now. What are you doing?
Okay. So, but here's the thing, though, Quill. Right? Here's the thing. Remember the 4 agreements. Don't take anything personal. Right? It's not personal. All you have to
I know
do
it's
is listen. Listen to what I'm telling you. Listen to what I'm telling you. Because I won't say I've mastered this, but I've gotten good at this. Right? All you do is let her say what she needs to say, and then you be like, "Oh, that's what's up." So what I was saying was, and then you redirect the conversation back to where you were going. Because if you be like, "Well, you just cut me off," well,
no, but that I got that. I've gotten to the point of not doing that. I'm just saying, my thing is, it's just, just to hear it from somebody else. I think that's
so
the
you feel
amazement to me. It's
validated.
not. Oh my God.
We are with you, brother. You were never alone in the forest. We are all in the forest of the woman's thoughts, my guy. It's not just you. We
So
chose this life. Didn't you ask your wife to marry you? You asked for her to cut you off when you was talking
Oh
about
my
your
goodness.
dreams.
So I wonder though, like at what age or how young, and I'm asking this, and I know I probably deal with kids on a regular basis, but something happened today which is making me think of what Angie talked about how women, sometimes we're the ones more likely to interrupt. Like, I'm wondering, at what age is this something innate in us as women, or is it something that's developed through watching the adults around them communicate? I had a young man and a little girl in my office today, and I did have to call out the little girl to tell her she was being rude, because they were telling they had a little disagreement. He was telling her, she told her side of the story, talked so fast, and he stayed quiet the whole time. When it was his time to tell his side, she like and I was like, now don't do that. And I said, that's rude. You got to have some effective communication. So in a moment, it showed me like, okay, this is why I do what I do as young as we need to get them at that foundational stage so they know. But, I wonder if it's something innate or if it's something that's learned. And I know for me, I think I know the answer, because I know for me, how I treat my husband is a reflection of how my mom treated my father, even after they were not together. So, it's just something like, whew, when do we start correcting it? Not when does it happen? When do we start like addressing that?
So I wonder if it is because from childhood, little girls are catered to in general, right?
They got a sense of entitlement.
The sense of entitlement and like, don't talk to your sister like that, or I'm just trying to remember stuff from back in the day. And there is no balance. Like, let your brothers finish speaking, right? Or take a deep breath, allow someone to, because you're right, they're so young and these little girls just go off and they don't take a second to let somebody else share their side. And I wonder, is it because we're catered to from such a young age, the sense of entitlement and the lack of accountability from such a young age, I think also plays a part in it.
I think it's both. I think it's nature and nurture.
And
I think it's nature. Like any OG, any old black man to tell you, no man has ever won an argument with a woman, ever. Women are undefeated in verbal confrontation against men. Because even if you was right, she's gonna find a way to make you think you was wrong, or she's gonna convince herself that you was wrong. So I do think that it's just kind of innate. And one of the reasons I think is just because men, we kind of got the physically superior end of the stick, and women got the communicative, big side of the stick per se. So, but I also think that because we tend to nurture little girls more than we nurture little boys and cater to little girls, then it just validates what nature has already created. And so you end up with little boys and grown men and old men who are just like, ain't even no point in me arguing with you, right? And I ain't about to fight you, so I can't take it to where I would take it to with a man. I can't beat you in an argument, so I'm gonna just shut the hell up. And that's the close. If that's the closest I can get to peace at this point, because that's kind of how we started the conversation. If my peace is found more quickly in letting you win this argument, even though your facts may be right or wrong, she could walk away thinking she right or walk away thinking she wrong, but at least she ain't arguing with me no more. But in real intimate relationships, that's a problem, because that starts to build resentment within the man. Because even though men aren't as communicative, I'd still have a perspective that I wanted to share. So it becomes repression and suppression. And then you wonder why. And that's how it gets to what Angie was saying. It's like, well, I'm still paying the bills. I'm still fulfilling my baseline duties. You don't feel loved. Well, a part of that is because I didn't get to communicate with you. So if the closest I can get to peace is keep doing my man duties and you don't nag me, I can live with that. Especially because if you leave, you're gonna take my kids. So I tell you what, I'll just sit here. It's all good. We all good. Shouldn't be that way, but that's how it is. But I got one more question for y'all that I think is a really important one to have. Dr. Hawk, I think you'll like this one. Quell dropped off, so it's just me all by my lonesome. We'll see how this is going to play out for the ending. We've talked a lot about how men demand respect and want respect and all of that. My question for each of you is, how do women want respect from their man? What does respect look like from a woman's perspective?
Loyalty.
Loyalty. Okay. Enlighten me.
Loyalty and honesty, because again, it's one of those things where I want you to respect me enough that you're loyal to me, because and to the loyalty, and to that you won't put me in positions that will cause me to feel those feelings that I don't like to feel, like jealousy, like, envy, like even feeling unsafe. Like you're loyal enough to me to know that all of those things, or you respect me enough that I know that all of those things are going to happen. But more so for me, it's just be loyal and make sure you're coming home every day.
Okay. Real quick question for you, and the initial question still stands, but this is something that I kind of wonder about women. Obviously, if your man cheats on you, it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's a form of disrespect and all of that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if he cheats and it becomes a public embarrassment, does that this might be a self-answering question, but doesn't that add fuel to the fire? Like, even if I was thinking about taking you back because I hadn't given you none in a while, so maybe I understand why you just physically needed it. But you got everybody out here knowing that I got cheated on, and that's a problem.
Absolutely, but I'm gonna say this, absolutely. But I'm gonna tell you this, like even now, because we've had this conversation before too. I love my husband and I trust him, but only to a certain extent because he is human. Mm-hmm. Now, there may have been a time that he may have cheated, but it's not so. Don't do it publicly. It's just that if you do it, you better make sure I don't find out.
Mr. Tom ain't never cheated. Mr. Tom, black men don't cheat.
Oh, God.
Mr. Tom ain't never cheated.
It's more so that
he ain't never even cheated on
your face, boy.
When it's done publicly, that does add sting to it, because that public embarrassment, especially too, if you choose to take them back.
Right. Okay, cool. So back to the original question, from the women's perspectives, what does respect from a man look like to you? How do you want it? How do you want it to show up?
For me, I just want him to be transparent. And I think that will, even if, because I know Dr. Hawk, I'm with you on the loyalty, right? But I think for me, I'd rather know whatever is that in the back of your head that you're like, I don't know if I want to talk about. I'd rather know. Like, give me the transparency.
Transparent. That's a good one.
Give me the transparency, because that at least I'll know you respect me so much so that even if it hurts me, you're still gonna let me know.
That's a good one.
That's what works for me.
So we got loyalty, we have transparency. Let's go Angie, and then we'll go Kacey.
Yeah, it's so funny you always say this, because I was gonna say the same thing. I think my husband knows this to a T. Like, I feel like you could ask him this question. You don't even have to ask me, because he'll tell you, But yeah, I would definitely say transparency is just big for me. And I think that just goes back to my experiences. Like, I've really done a deep dive on this, and I grew up in a household where my dad was not really there, but when he was there, we got different sides of him, and other people got different sides of him. So he's kind of living a double life. And I think that really set the tone for me with transparency. I'm always that type of person that's like, just give me all of you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Allow me to kind of deal with what comes with that. But I don't know what to deal with if you don't expose that to me. But then I'm also an intimacy coach. So I enjoy that type of closeness. Like, I want to know all parts of you. So that means the stuff that maybe you don't always feel as comfortable sharing with other people. See, if you share that with me, I feel like that means something more for me. That's a little bit deeper, because you're willing to expose that side to me. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to put up with any and everything. I'm just saying that I'm open to having conversations about who you authentically are. But I need to know what it is. So definitely transparency, and I ain't trying to be embarrassed either. So that's a good question.
Okay, I got a follow up for you. Did it take you a while to get to the point where you didn't, where maybe like let's just use your relationship with your husband as an example. Did you find yourself seeking transparency from him when maybe it didn't even need to be sought because he just didn't know that you needed it? And if so, how long did it take you to get to that point?
Yeah, that's always been with me. It's interesting. So I've been married, me and my husband been married for 20 years, but we met in high school and we actually dated for a little bit in high school before we broke up. And I remember the first time I asked about transparency or wanting to know more about him was because I noticed when I would be like around some friends or some other kids at school, they'll be talking about a joke my husband made or something. And it was kind of really crass. And I was just like, that's interesting. I've never seen that side of him before, like ever. I'm like, who is this person y'all talking about? So I remember asking him, like, why don't you share some of this stuff with me that you clearly saying to them? And he was like, oh, I can't do that with you. Like, you my girlfriend. Like, I'm not supposed to show that. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't do that. That's disrespectful, right? In his mind, that's how he thought it would be showing disrespect towards me. And even in those earlier years, that's when I started really learning what respect meant to him as opposed to me. Because I didn't see that as disrespect. I saw that as like, I want to know all of you, all of the parts of you. But you're withholding that because you think that that's something that's going to make me feel, some kind of way about you or how that represents me. And so, like, even in those, like I said, again, teenage years, I was learning early on, like, this is different. Like, we're not seeing things in a similar way because I don't see it that way. I don't feel disrespected.
But I
So
think
so
that's a
that
representative of the norm too, though, like of the
Mhm.
norm of what he might have seen. So like you may have be accepting of that, but
Right.
the overwhelming majority of the women that he's been around, that's not
Mhm.
something that he could have said to them.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Right. Exactly.
yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna hit on, Quill. I was gonna say like it's rare in a man's life that a woman tells a man that he can be vulnerable and transparent, and then he does it, and it's actually okay, right? Throughout the duration of the relationship,
Mhm.
and men, we're not naturally gonna open up to you anyway. So if I open up to you, and you ever in your life use it against me,
Oh yeah, that's
oh,
a
that
wrap.
turtle is going back in the shell forever.
Okay. Yeah.
So good stuff.
And look, I even say like even with dealing with my wife, like this was like the first time I've ever been able to just be who I was. Like I didn't feel like I could be like there was a lot of times she wanted me to do it. She was in your position telling me, look, I want to know this. I want to know all these and I want to help you with this. Like I want to be there for you. Like I need you to do that. And it's like I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that. And this didn't go right the past 4 times I tried this, you know what I mean? And like it was like different things, like even with just trying to be open about my emotions. uh, a lot of times I dealt with some women and it was always, man, you too emotional or you this and that. So I shut myself off where I'm just like I didn't feel like I could express it without my manhood being attacked.
Mhm.
You know what I
Right.
mean? So the older I got, I realized it didn't matter, but to have somebody there, it's like, look, it's cool. Like, I'll give this example. So when I first got with my wife, um, I met her. I met her in between relationships. So, my ex had just left. Like she left. She didn't tell me anything. She just took off. So I got news that she was pregnant, and she like played games with it, and was telling me, you need to leave her, because I'm 3 months pregnant, and you need to leave her, or I'm gonna get rid of her. And so eventually, like, I mean, it was like a big thing. And eventually she texted me and told me, well, I did it. I wound up getting rid of it. And I was like hurt because I'm just like, one, I didn't, even though I didn't know, I'm a person that if I created something, I want it to be there. And I don't know what other woman would just sit there with you. And like I was crying and she just held me. And I was like, it hurt me so bad because I'm just like, why? Just why? She always tells me, she says she has to take off her wife hat and put on her friend hat to listen to me sometimes. Like she got to get out of wife mode and girlfriend mode and actually just be my friend.
That's good.
Yeah, it is good. All right, Casey. What does respect look like for you in a relationship?
Um, Trust. Well, it's two things. It's trust that you trust me with a lot of what you all have shared. I think I come to this a little bit different. It could be my parents are way older when they had me, so different generation raising me, right? Like my father 1926 born, my mama 1945. They were married to the day he took his last breath, but there's a 19-year difference between them two. And so I have never gone into a relationship believing that my partner is going to tell me everything all the time. And that's not about him withholding things or being uh, disloyal or like moving in a weird way, right? I just I, and again, maybe just how I was raised, I don't believe that most men are going to lay out every thought they have for their partner all of the time, right? And so I don't go in with that expectation, but I do go in desiring you to trust me that when you do share, right, you can be honest and you know that I'm not going to hold it against you, that you can trust that I can be both lover and friend, right? That I've proven enough to you that you can trust that I know when to it's like the memes we see. I've seen a couple of them where the boyfriend, the husband asks the partner what's going on. It's like, I don't want to tell you. And he's like, okay, act like I'm your homegirl, right? And then she just spills everything. Like, I want you to trust me that I know when to be friend over partner. And then not to be dismissive of me. I think for me, respect looks like if I'm really excited about something and you think it's minuscule, you think it's insignificant, that you don't dismiss it because you don't see the importance of it. You don't see how big it is for me, or you may not think it's important or a priority. But if it's something I'm sincerely excited about, don't be dismissive of me. Um, so for me, in addition, to a lot of what else has been said, but those are the two things. You trust me and you're not dismissive of me.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. So the ladies had their last word basically. Quill, you got anything to add before we sign off for the night?
Yeah, this was cool though. It was different, and I just think that you know I think that people have to kind of go in this thing and with an open mind, like when it comes down to being with somebody, because especially when people talk about forever, I don't think, and I say this all the time, I don't think people really realize what they're saying is like the rest of your life with somebody and what that entails and the journey that you go through and just the adventure that you have with somebody. And we try to treat it so serious, and it's like I think that you have to be able to be open, and that openness allows you to have the change that you need to have, you know. And I just think that a lot of people don't, and we treat it way too serious, man. Because I can be serious with my wife, but I can have fun with her. Like I can have fun with her, and we can have like this closeness, and she respects me. And when I say something to her, I know she listens to me. But I think I would say to men though, if you want them to respect you, you also do have to respect them, and you gotta not treat them like they don't know anything. I think sometimes like that mentality of I'm the man and I know what's going on and I know what's best. I don't think it's always good because you picked the woman for a reason. I'm hoping that she had good qualities that she could add to you. So I think that's what I would say is that like trust and respect your women, because I think if she's good and she's good to you, then I think she would want what's best for you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. So this has been a really great conversation. I've enjoyed it. We've had some.
Can I add something?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Did you get a chance to go, Julie? Yeah, you did. Okay.
I did. But I just
All right.
wanted to add, like, remember how earlier Real Dope said that, you know, some people are sick, right? And some people are like narcissistic and they have all these issues. For me, there are so many people in this world that if you don't care about what women think, I want to know. So I don't talk to you ever, right? I don't want a man that puts up a front just to get, you know, just to hook me. And then he reveals that, you know what, actually, I don't care about supporting you. I don't care about, you know, the silly news that you want to share with me. Like, that's who I want to see. I want to see the real version of you. And that will allow me to determine whether now I know that I got to tell my best friend all the great news because my man is not going to cheer for me. You know what I mean? Like, it allows me to maneuver this person in the most authentic. Like, we're close to can I say death? We're close to, you know, dying soon, right? I don't want to spend the rest of my life figuring out who my husband is because he won't be authentic.
So here's the thing. I'm just gonna tell you why that is, because I think you have a very valid approach and a valid perspective. We hear a lot about the difficulties that women face in society, right? They're all valid. Man, we get rejected all the time just for being who we are, right? Like you can't talk too white, you can't talk too black, you can't dress with Walmart clothes. If you real dope and you got a Tesla truck, you showing off, right? If you don't have hair, you a bald head. If you got hair too long, they won't hire you, right? So a lot of our lives too is an experience in trying to figure out who it is that I need to pretend to be in order to get the outcomes that I want. 99% of people ain't accepting me just as who I am. So when you come along and you like, oh no, well, I really want to hear your authentic self. I'm like, well, that just don't really sound realistic to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show up as the version of me that I think you want me to be in order for me to get what I want.
The representative. Yeah.
I'm going to give you my representative. Now, if you're someone who's done the self-work like Quell, you get to a point where you're like, I'm gonna be honest with you, big dog. I don't give too much of a fuck what none of y'all think. I'm just gonna be me. And sometimes you're gonna like that me, and sometimes you're not. But you want authenticity, so that's what you are going to get. And that, but real quick, then I'll let you go. You know, that's something that we as men have to be willing to come to grips with and just be like, yo, this is just who I am. And as long as you are able to establish and implement healthy boundaries, then the people who are for you, they're naturally going to be there, and the people who aren't, they're not going to be there because you're not going to allow yourself to be disrespected or forced to put on your mask. I'm not wearing no mask. Go ahead, Quill.
And Jules, I'll say this, and I'm not gonna say this is you, but I hear a lot of women say this, and a lot of women have to be sure that that's what they want.
I promise
Because
you.
I've seen it in so many times where they say this and you do it, then oh my God, you're being mean. Oh my God, it's this, and you can't take it. And it's like, you know what you're asking for from somebody because that there's a certain thing that comes with that, especially when I like I said this before, like my wife when she was going to cosmetology school, and the women were like, I want a man like your man. And she was like, do you know what it takes to be with a man like that? Because at the end of the day, you don't know you're saying that you don't know what I went through for him to get there. He didn't start that way. I didn't start this way. So that I think people have to be and I had to tell dudes, my wife didn't start off who she was. So it's just like we don't start off that way and people want a finished product. You don't get that.
But that's
You
what I'm
don't get
saying
it.
though.
Yeah.
Like when someone is authentic, they're not a finished product. When someone is authentic, you know that they're gonna come with some parts that you may not like. That's my point. Like, I know that you're not gonna like a lot of stuff that I say, but I'm not gonna put on a mask. So I hope you
And
like
this
the best.
therein lies the danger of social media, because people are putting up the representative of themselves and the finished product, and others are not seeing the journey or the work that got them there. So
All good, all good. Angie, did you have something else before we sign off for the night?
No, I appreciate what you said about, like, not to sound, bad when I say this, but men have to realize that it is a personal problem. If you feel like you can't be authentic because you're worried about the backlash, that's not necessarily our problem. That's the guy's problem. He has to come to terms with that and say, I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet regardless. And quite honestly, for a lot of women, that's actually very attractive, that when they are knowing themselves and they're sure of themselves. Not to say that he's not flexible or he's not willing to, listen. But if he can stand on his own 2 feet and, like, listen, I understand that, I'm saying something you don't like. This is a part of who I am. These are the areas I'm working on. These are the areas that are unchangeable. I totally can respect that. And like I said, again, I think it's very attractive when a man can stand on his own 2 feet and not be swayed by whether or not, is she not going to like me anymore? Is she not going to want to be with me? Well, if she's not the one that wants to be with you, trust me, there is someone else that really values that. So yeah, give me the transparency any day. So
Good stuff. For my guys out there, they be you, big dog. You made in the image of the Most High. Go be you. Talk how you talk, walk how you walk. Go be great. And if you notice, there's something about extremely successful people that we all respect. And what it really is that they believed in themselves enough to be who they authentically are, and it benefited them. Right? Doesn't matter which side of the political aisle or what race they are, whatever the case may be. And that goes for women too, right? It's just go out in the world and be you. Because like Julie says, Julie always tells me, Chells, we're all going to die soon. Like, okay, Julie, I'll just be me then, right? It's cool. So I appreciate y'all. I've absolutely enjoyed the conversation. It's been almost 2 weeks since I did a show, The Common Ground, on the Lapeef Network. So I shout out to JR for allowing me to do my show on his platform. Miss Angie, you are welcome back anytime.
Thank you.
Shout out to Kacey. Shout out to Julie. Shout out to Dr. Hawk, Quell. Who did I forget?
Dr. E.
Dr. E.
Real dope.
Shout out to Real Dope. And also, shout out to everybody in the chat. Right. I tried to make sure that I put the comments up as much as possible. So shout out to everybody in the chat that contributed to the conversation tonight. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to be back next Friday or not because I'll be in Atlanta. But if I can, I'll let y'all know I'll be here. Hey, respect yourself, respect your God, respect everybody. I appreciate y'all. I love you. www.iamchellsx.com. Julie got the best life coach in the world. That's me. All right, y'all. Peace out.